All right. Good morning, everyone. Do you know the? So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. We have more members coming in. They should be making their way into the chamber. This is called the House Chamber, your House Chamber. So even though you're not old enough to vote, this is your house, and we represent you as well. So welcome. This is my understanding. This is a third grade Saipan Community School. Wow, welcome. I am Edmund Villagomez. I am the Speaker of the House. This is Representative Joel Camacho from Precinct 4, which is this side of Capitol Hill and everything north, even the Northern Islands. And this is our Vice Speaker, Representative BJ Atta, who's from Precinct 3, just like me as well, which is the other side of the road and pretty much the central area of Saipan from Oliai, San Jose, all the way up to Capitol Hill and everything in between. Even Mount Apocho. You guys know Mount Apocho? Yeah, that's our precinct as well. So welcome to your house. So have they been studying a little bit about the legislature? Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So this is the legislative branch, historically known as the first branch of government, and this is where laws originate. There are two houses in the legislature. You're in the House of Representatives, and then on the other side we have the Senate. The Senate consists of 9 members, three senators from each island. Well, for now, since the Northern Islands is not really, not a lot of people are living up there. There's three for Saipan and the Northern Islands, and three for Tinian and three for Rhoda. In the House, it's a different breakdown. It's based on the population of the precinct. So, Precinct 1 has 6 seats. Precinct 2 has 2. Precinct 3 has 6. Precinct 4 has 2. And Precinct 5 has 2 as well. And then Tinian and Rhoda get 1 seat each. Um, so that's what it is. So I was told you guys will be touring the legislature, and you'll be starting off with questions and answers. So I think that's the best way to get the conversation going, and also also allowing us the opportunity to elaborate more on what we do. Um, Colleagues, do you want anything to say? Okay. So is that okay? Yes. Yes. Okay, ma'am. When you're gonna speak, um, just press the button once that says mic talk, and then when you see that the light is on, that means the mic is on. There you go. And when you're done, just press it, and then if you see that the light is off, the mic is off. Okay. So if you have questions, just please raise your hand. As a part of my job as a speaker, I manage the floor, so I recognize whoever wants to speak. So please raise your hands and I'll recognize you. Just go ahead and press that button. When you see the light is on, go ahead and speak into it. And then when you're done, just press it once. And when the light goes off, it's off. And by the way, do you guys want to go live? Cable TV? Okay. Yeah. All right. So see this? It's just like being in a movie TV studio when it says on air. So you're live right now. We're still on channel 23, right? Right? Yeah. So we have cameras all around. So just wave. Yeah. All right. Hi, mom. Hi, dad. Yeah. Yep. I think this will this be recorded too, sir? Yeah. So we'll also be on YouTube. Uh, I'll go ahead and share the link with. Okay. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and share the link later on YouTube. We have our own webpage, so you guys can watch yourselves later on. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start with questions. Anybody want to go first? Please raise your hand.
Students, do you guys have any questions from our worksheet?
Yes, ma'am. Press it once. There you go.
How long does a senator serve for?
Okay. The senators, they each serve 4 years, but it's also staggered. So 4 years for senators, Here in the House, it's 2 years. And before we move forward, I'd like to recognize Representative Christina Sablan. Yep. She is from your precinct, the Saipan Community School, Precinct 2. Yeah, Precinct 2 in the House. Thanks for coming, because it'd be a little disappointing if nobody from Precinct 2 is here. Okay, so to answer your questions, 4 years for the senators and 2 years for the representatives in the House. Yes, ma'am.
How many in the House of Representatives?
Okay, there are 20 members. As I mentioned earlier, Precinct 1 has 6 seats, Precinct 2 has 2, Precinct 3 has 6. So if you're following the math, 6 plus 2 is what? Anybody? 8. 8 plus 6 is what? Did somebody say 7? 14. Then Precinct 4 has 2, so 14 plus 2. Precinct 5 has 2, so 16 plus 2. All right, Rhoda gets 1 seat, so 18 plus 1.
19.
And Tinian gets 1 seat, so 19 plus 1.
20.
There, so 20 members in the House. Good job. Don't worry, sometimes even when we work on the budget, sometimes something as simple as 2 plus 3 and we're still off. Yes, ma'am.
How many representatives? How many districts are in Saipan?
Oh yeah, on Saipan we have 5 election districts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Precinct 1 is mainly the south side of the island. San Antonio, Cobler, Dandan, parts of Aslito and Finasisu. Precinct 2 is Chalancanoa and Susupi, pretty much, and Asperdido, and parts of Finasisu as well. Precinct 3, like I mentioned, is anything from pretty much the sports complex, where the baseball field is, all the way north to Capitol Hill, Topocha, and everything in between. Precinct 4 is Tanapec, up to Marpi, San Roque, part of Capitol Hill and the Northern Islands. Precinct 5 is Papago and Cagman. And then, of course, Precinct 6 and 7 is Tinian and Rhoda. So 5 on Saipan. We good? Yes. Okay.
What original number will in the new Congress be starting in January 2023?
Can you repeat that question? Can you repeat that question again, please? ma'am?
What ordinal number will the new Congress be starting in January 2023?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, what term will we be entering is what you're saying. So we're right now we're currently in the 22nd. So when this new term comes in January 9, we will be the 23rd legislature. Members, if you want to chime in, please. I'll recognize you as well. Go ahead, sir.
How many members are in the House of Representatives?
20 members. 20 members in the House of Representatives. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that question was, yeah, that question was asked earlier. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
What's the minimum age to be qualified to run for the House of Representatives?
21, right? If I'm not mistaken. 21 years old to run for the House. I think it's 25 for the Senate and 35 for the governor. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
How many members are in the Senate?
There are 9 members in the Senate. 3 from each senatorial district. So Saipan and the Northern Islands gets 3, Tinian gets 3, and Rhoda gets 3. in the event that is it at least 1,000 people? In the event that at least 1,000 people are able to live in the Northern Islands and establish themselves, then 3 new seats will open up in the Senate. But as for now, we are still far from 1,000 people living in the Northern Islands. So
You guys can also ask things that are not on your sheet.
yes, please feel free to ask.
I'm looking at their questions, and the age is 21 for both,
No, 21 for the House, 25 for the Senate.
25 for the Senate.
Yes.
Okay, so 25 for the Senate.
Sorry if I'm going ahead of the questions.
The minimum age for a senator is
25, yes.
25. So minimum age is 25.
Yeah. 21 for the House. Anybody know that answer? Yes, sir.
18.
Good job. All right, ma'am, you had a question?
Is it fun
Is
to
it
be the speaker?
is it fun to be the speaker? It actually is, but it's also pretty difficult.
Boring?
Uh, well, if you're gonna run for this position and think it's boring, I don't think you should try to go to be speaker. But it is fun. We get to do things like this. We get to serve our community in different capacities. That's the fun part. Yes, there are pretty challenging situations, especially when we have to face things that are out of control, out of our control, just like the pandemic, the typhoons, an economy that's going down, um, and things like that. And also when there's different interests between the different branches of government, whether it's this end and the executive branch, that's another challenge. And as the Speaker of the House, you're like the leader of what direction we take in this chamber. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am.
Which districts do the senators represent?
Oh, okay. The senatorial districts, as like I mentioned earlier, Rhoda, they get 3. Tinian gets 3. So Saipan and the Northern Island gets 3. Either way, we still make decisions based on we still represent the CNMI as a whole. So we still vote on issues that affects the CNMI as a whole. We do have a sub legislature which we call the delegations, and Tinian has their delegation, Rhoda has their delegation, Saipan and the Northern Islands has their delegation, and that's where we tackle issues directly affecting the senatorial district. So whether it's fixing roads, building bus stops, repairing recreational areas, appropriations affecting nonprofit organizations and community events in that senatorial district, that's where we tackle those issues. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever had
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Have you ever had a mistake with voting 2 times in a row?
A mistake voting 2 times in a row. Well, as the speaker, I get that. I have that privilege to vote twice. So will I say it's a mistake? I don't think so. As long as I vote my conscience based on the facts in front of me, then I feel good. But usually we try to avoid, even though that rule is there for me to vote twice, we try not to get there. I've experienced speakers in my past terms where they vote one way, then when they need a second vote from that speaker, he voted the other way. So I don't know. Well, for me, and the leadership didn't cut me any slack. One of our first terms, I had to vote twice, and it was involving House Bill 22-33. For those of you that are not familiar, it's to give us also authority in terms of how the ARPA money would be spent. Just to pretty much, it's almost like doing a budget where the governor proposes, okay, this is the spending plan, and then on our end we have to concur, and if we don't, it doesn't move forward. Things like that. So that was the one thing we wanted to get. We wanted to get out right away, and it required me voting twice, not just on the main bill, but on some amendments. So I had to vote twice more than once. Yes, ma'am.
Just may add to
Yeah.
that, Speaker, because it actually was really interesting. It doesn't happen so often in the House, but in this House, when you have 20 members and the vote is split evenly, 10 to 10, then the Speaker gets to vote twice to break the tie.
Yeah.
And you think about the games that you play in school, and sometimes things come down to a tie, right? And how do you break the tie? We have to deal with that too in the House of Representatives.
Yeah. So there are times where the line between the leadership and the minority is so close, and it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're in the leadership you have to vote down the line with the leadership, or if you're in the minority that you have to vote the way the minority votes. There's going to be situations where the minority is like, you know what, the leadership's right. There's going to be situations where in the leadership they'll be like, no, I agree with the minority leader. So and unfortunately we don't have overtime in the legislature when there's a tie, so that's why we have that rule. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Do you like your job?
Yes, I love my job. I've been here. I've been very fortunate and blessed to be elected again, so I'll be going into my 7th term. So I think that pretty much answers the question. You guys, do you love your jobs? Yeah. 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 Yep. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Dunn.
So in school, we learn in the books what the legislator does on paper.
Mhm.
But I know from experience, there's so many things that you guys do that is outside of just making laws and voting
Yeah.
with your discretionary funds. One time I was in line at National and he was buying supplies for school.
Yes. Yes.
We have Miss Tina Sablon put together a big trash thing so we could take all the stuff from the typhoon that we had been holding on to for a couple of years, and we could take it. What other things do you guys do that aren't what we learn in our social studies magazines?
Okay. One thing that's really fun about this job is our office space is not just up here. The community, the the whole CNMI is our workspace. So other than working on legislation, we do things like this. As a matter of fact, we can come to your classrooms. Would you like us to come to your classrooms? All right. Okay. And I'll ask you the questions, right? Yeah. So we do a lot of community work. Representative Joel, if you ever have the opportunity to drive north, you see a lot of murals and a lot of the landscaping and all that. That's one of his major projects outside of the legislature. There was also a time when the minority would get together and they were sprucing up and rehabilitating recreational areas like the basketball courts and all that stuff. So yes, we do things like this. We also do work in the community, be it cleanup. Myself and a former representative, we did have a community center that we ran for over about 10 years here in Garapan. And we provide different services there too as well. So our work is not just limited to legislation. It's any other way we can help the community. Yeah. Yes.
So my office and the other precinct 2 representative, Representative John Paul Sablon, one of our projects in our precinct, besides the cleanup project, we've done a number of cleanups in precinct 2, but also that your school participated in was the Sisupi Community Garden.
Yeah.
And, we still kind of help maintain it, but we would love to see you guys come back to the garden. Do we have any gardeners here? Anybody?
So they're third graders. So our fourth graders
Oh, okay.
our junior master gardeners.
Okay.
With Texas A&M.
It's such a great
Oh,
program.
nice.
Yeah. So, well, the third graders coming into the fourth grade next year. Yeah. If you want to come down to the Susupi Garden and, at any point, I mean, you can bring your parents too. Like, we'd love to see you there.
Bring your own plants too, right?
Yeah, and then one other
Yeah.
thing that a lot of us do, in addition to these community projects, is I guess what we call constituent services. It's like casework. So if anybody in the community has an issue with another government agency, like for example CUC, that's a kind of a very common one. But a lot of issues will come up, and if they're having trouble getting the answers, they will come to our office. They will ask for help. We'll have them fill out a form, a consent form, and then we'll follow up with the agencies for them to get them the answers or help them connect to the services that they need. That's a big part, actually, of what legislators do.
Yep. We have constituents coming to our offices, calling our personal phones, and to ask for help in, like Representative Tina said, in other government issues, from the PUA to even the boost and other stimulus and taxes. Yeah, CUC, typhoon recovery. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Have you ever had problems with laws?
Have we ever had? Well, I think one of the biggest problems we have with the laws that we draft or pass is the enforcement. I think that's number one. So it's very disappointing on our end. We work hard. We meet with the stakeholders. We meet with the community, and then we put together a piece of legislation that's needed, and then it's signed into law, and it's not really enforced, whether it's lack of funding or lack of manpower. That's probably, for me, the main problem I have with laws. Definitely.
And to add to that is there's a lot of laws that were good for their time, and a lot of laws that are not beneficial for you guys' time when it comes to you guys' time to take over the cinema, because it'll work for our generation, but it's not going to work for the next generation. Obviously, right now we're moving into technology, so a lot of our elders that are serving in various boards and commissions are not used to using the computer, and they want to be there personally facing the individuals in their meetings. That's one challenge that they're having. So we had to amend our existing statutes, and thank God for COVID. Not in a good way, but thank God in a financial way to actually help the cinema. So we were able to kind of switch over and do like work externally and save a lot of money from us bringing these people from the various islands to come for meetings here on Saipan, or from Saipan going to Rhoda or Tinian. So those are the things that you guys are going to have to look forward to fix. That's going to be best to fit your time. There's a lot of laws that were created back in the beginnings of the CDMI that really meant well. Unfortunately, they don't have the teeth that they expected back then to continue on with this next generation. So you guys are going to face a lot of that stuff. And the greatest thing about our job is we're easily accessible. Like Rep Tina and the speaker had mentioned, that we get calls for everything pretty much. I think the only thing that I've never been called for was to bury a gravesite, or dig a gravesite. That's about it. But other than that, we're pretty flexible and easily accessible. If the schools need us to be there, we're there, and it's just a phone call away. As soon as we get that call, we will contact each other and see who's available to help out, and we go and we do our work. It's challenging, but it's fun. It's fun because you guys make it fun for us.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
How many laws are there?
Wow. There's too many, because laws are not just things like you got to stop at a red light. Like every appropriation we make, that's also law. So there's a lot of laws, and then there are laws that amend former laws. Like what Representative Attal said, like, as the times change, we need to update our policies as well. One of the things we included in our rules because of the pandemic was that we can appear virtually. whereas before that would still be considered absent at a session. So when the pandemic hit, like there will probably be like 6 members in the chamber, maybe 2 sitting in the gallery, and everybody else is attending the session either from home or at their office. So just things like that. Yes, ma'am.
What happens if you have nothing to say and your throat hurts?
Yeah, my throat's been bothering me. It doesn't hurt though. But yeah, usually when you're in the house, you're not required to debate. Like there are some members that just vote. There are members that are very vocal. Um, but yeah, you're not required to debate. Yep, ma'am. Yeah.
Are there laws for certain people?
No. Are there laws for certain people? I think
Like laws for each one of people.
Like for people who work like in jobs that are like for a certain thing, or
Also, maybe like law enforcement, right?
Mhm.
So law enforcement, like let's take police officers for example, or any law enforcement entity. They have their own policies also. So, like, let's say one of the laws that's just very new is the legalization of marijuana, for example, in the CNMI. They in their policies they still can't test positive for marijuana because their policies will supersede the flexibility of the law. And so those are the things like that. And then there's other laws like people breaking laws, right? If I broke a law, I go to court or I go to jail. Those are the, I guess those are specific laws to actions that were done by that individual. But with our enforcement agencies, there's their policies, and also we have OPM, which is the Office of Personnel Management, that also have their own policies that governs all government employees, including members of the legislature.
I like to add to that too, since you brought up law enforcement. There are certain officers that, for example, are not, they can't carry firearms as enforcement officers. So recently, we have been passing bills that has been signed into law to allow more law enforcement officers to carry guns. So yes, there. I know I said no earlier, but as the times change, like for example, CPA, right? For example, the police officers at the ports, the airport and the seaport, they weren't allowed to carry firearms, but now they are. So things like that. Yes, ma'am.
What's your favorite part of the job?
This is my favorite part of the job. Well, actually, the flexibility of, because as a elected official, you are your own boss. So as you get older, you'll find out that that's probably the fun part about your job, is if you're the boss. But then it also carries a lot of responsibility too. So, but I would say for me that's the most fun part, the flexibility of, like I said, um, your typical job, you go to a certain place and you're there 9 to 5 or whatnot, and with us it's we don't have to check in here. I can start my day gardening, or joining an organization, cleaning up the beaches, or visiting classrooms, or buying school supplies, things like that. So that's the fun part.
Guys, maybe just a couple more questions.
Yes, ma'am.
is there anything bad about the job?
Is there anything you guys want to add to that? I guess that's I guess that's the that's I guess it's on the decision that you make. In this line of work, you want to try to make everybody happy, but you can't. So that's probably the bad part, because even though for me, I've made some very unpopular decisions in voting, but I felt that they were the right decisions. But it still affects me in a sense to see, like, some people in our community being disappointed. Like that. You represent the people, and to see them disappointed, or like, that's probably the challenging part. But yeah, you guys want to add? You good? Ma'am, go ahead. You right here. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
How many times a month do you have like meetings?
Oh, like the sessions? Yeah. Well, the session depends on the call of the speaker. The speaker announces the call for the session. So it really depends. Sometimes we look at the calendar and the agenda of things to come, and if it's bare bones, if it's like only one bill and one committee report, we wait until more committee reports come out and more bills are going to be introduced, or if there's a pressing issue, that's when we call. So there are times where we can have a marathon. As a matter of fact, um, our first session this term lasted 4 days. Yeah, 4 days just for that one session. Wow.
So in addition to the meetings that the speaker calls, there are committees, right? And there are the chairs for different committees. And so, for example, I chair the Committee on Health and Welfare, and we'll call meetings for the committees to review bills, to bring in guests from other agencies, to brief us on issues that we're following in the committee. So there's more meetings at the committee level too, and then meetings outside of the legislature too. Often we will meet with agencies and other community members that have issues they want to discuss with us. So a lot of meetings in the legislature.
So yeah, we do like town halls. We do public hearings too, where when certain bills or issues require public input, we do schedule. All right, ma'am, go ahead.
Are you the only one that can vote twice, or can other people vote twice
No,
too?
just me. I tried to get out of that, but yeah. Oh man, can you imagine if everybody gets to vote twice?
And it's his position, not him.
Yeah, it's the
So
speaker's
it's the
position.
position.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just to break a tie.
And it's only in session, like, correct?
Yes,
So
yes.
not like you don't get to vote twice when you're voting for in a regular election. Because he's not like out of 60,000 people.
Oh no, no.
So only
Yeah, only here in the session. Yeah, yeah. Okay, sir, go ahead.
How long have you served?
For me, six. This is up to the 22nd. This is my sixth term. I'll be going into my seventh. A representative Attal will be going into his fifth. Representative Joel is going to his third, and Representative Tina has served three. She'll be completing her third term.
You guys remember you gotta multiply that by 2, right? They serve for 2
Yep.
years each.
Yeah.
Oh.
One more? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Yeah. Teachers, if you want to ask questions too.
I thought what happened if like someone disobeys your law?
Well, if are you talking about here in the house, or if you're
No.
talking about the laws that we passed, then like Representative Attal said, right? We have police officers. Like if you're driving past the speed limit, they pull you over, you go to jail, you go to court, things like that. You get fined for littering, things like that. So different laws have different language in them that tells you what the penalties are. But okay, one more question, ma'am. Go ahead, you. Right there, yeah.
Can we have a tour?
What was that? Yes, yes. Yeah. Well, is that the last question? If you guys want to take a group photo, we can come up here and. Thank you very much. Just give our sergeant at arms. You guys want to come up to here too? Yeah. Oh, and before I just want to introduce Representative Edwin Probst from Precinct 1. Yeah. Yeah. Can they see them? Okay. You guys can come up here. We'll just move the chairs to the back.
Third graders, before you take the picture, can you guys sing the song?
All right, we get a song. We get a song. All right. We get a song. Yes. How about do your Christmas performance?
This is for you.
Did
No.
you guys do
What is it?
your Christmas program already?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
so we can see.
You don't have to sing the whole song, just the chorus.
What do you mean?
What do you remember? Yes.
I'm a sub-bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here in Capitol Hill. Yes, it's time coming to the capital city. It's a long, long week. Oh, I'm sitting in committee. Oh, we're so bad. We're so bad.